Chili Goat Live.
We're live. All right, it's on. All right, everybody.
I think I have a feeling Kim is babysitting us today.
Yes, Kayla's on a cruise.
Yeah,
That looked fun.
it did.
All right, we'll give a second, see if anyone's popping on here live. So when you pop on, let us know where you're watching from. Even if you're watching it later, we'll still like to see those comments. It's awesome. As this is in the beginning stages and we're growing, we want to see that stuff. So thank you for tuning in. And today we are talking about don'ts. All don't stuff in cold tubs, right?
Yeah, just things that generally you should avoid if you are starting a chili or cold tub process. Protocol. Happy New Year to everyone. This is our first Chili Goat Live of 2025.
Yep. It
So-
is very cold here.
It is
We're
very
in Connecticut.
cold here.
The last 2 days have been very cold, a little colder than usual.
And the wind is what just makes it terrible. I don't like the wind.
All right. Wait a sec. You
Yeah,
want to
just
start?
one more second. One.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah.
All right.
Rock and roll. Go.
Rock and roll. So we want to just talk about some things to avoid if you are using a cold tub in your daily life. One of the things, surprisingly, and I feel like a lot of people are relieved to hear this. Actually, two things that people always are relieved to hear. One is it's not a long time. You don't need to spend a long amount of time to get the benefits of cold water therapy when you're immersing yourself in the water like in a cold tub. The recommendation that's been most studied is 3 to 5 minutes per day and kind of building up to 11 to 15 minutes per week. So that's not in one sitting, that is kind of stretched out. So if you're doing 5 days a week and you're doing 3 minutes per day to get to that 15 minutes per week, that's pretty ideal.
Right.
One of the other things that people are a lot of times relieved, although I don't really think it makes that much of a difference between like 50 and 40, but it doesn't need to be below 40 degrees. Anywhere south of 60 degrees Fahrenheit will give you the benefits. Now, if you are a hardcore cold tubber and 59 degrees feels like a breeze to you, then maybe you want to go a little colder and play with time and temperature.
Sure.
So, you know, if you are okay with 50, then go to 45 and so on. If 45 feels cold, start at 2 minutes, build up to 3 to 5 minutes. You just kind of want to figure out what's best for you too. And there is not one script that is perfect for everyone.
The thing is that this is creating good stress, but good stress can turn into bad.
Right.
Now, we've worked with so many pro CrossFitters who are just so studly in every way.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're not trying to prove anything when they're getting in the cold tubs. They're using it for extreme recovery, needs. So a little bit longer, but they've been training in it. They've been doing it a lot, so they're staying in there a little longer. So it's, it's certainly my opinion that I don't think they're doing anything reckless, but they didn't start that way. Most of them.
Right.
Okay, and that's the whole thing you want to keep in mind is that you can start, say, hey, 58 degrees, go 3 to 5 minutes. That's a great starting point, and then turn it down a little bit as you progress. So, would you say that's your biggest don't is overdoing it? Because I have mine.
I would say that there's just no need to overdo it.
Oh, we got a question.
Okay, awesome. Go ahead.
Frank, we know Frank. Frank, recommended commercial facility temp setting. Our eyes are, we're far away from there.
Yeah.
So if you have one tub, so the recommendation is this. If you have 2 tubs, I would set one for your hardcore, because if you have someone who wants to go 40, 38, 40 degrees, and you have it set at 52, they're gonna poo-poo you. So you want to keep one hardcore and then one for beginners. So I would go 40 and 55 if it was if I had 2 tubs. And if I had 1 tub, I'd probably go 45, 48, somewhere in there, because the people who are going to get in on a commercial setting, the people who are going to go in and rush to it, they know what they're doing. They want to see the number 4 on there. So I would probably steer towards them in the beginning if I had 1 tub, and if I had 2, I'd make 1 hardcore, 1 for beginners. That's what we do at events. We always have them arrange.
And I think too, with commercial settings a little bit, we just talked to one of our customers earlier this week, and I think they said like 43, 45, and they have a large group of people that use it, and they kind of got feedback from their clients as well. So I think she might have started around 50 degrees, and then through people using it and giving feedback on the use, they went a little bit lower. So, you can kind of see as your customers start using it, see what the feedback is and what your customers want. I think ultimately you don't want to have it that they can change it every single time they use it, but maybe a general consensus based on what your customers are saying.
Absolutely.
Might be a good idea. So.
All right. So my biggest concern, maybe concern is too big a word, but my biggest thing when it comes to cold tubbing is timing with regard to training. So, and this is where it's not a one size fits all. So there are scenarios where you can do the cold tub directly after lifting weights that makes sense, based on the science and research that's out there that's been done to this point. And I don't foresee this being flipped, through more research.
Especially not the
time,
right, not the muscle.
Exactly. So that's they sort of know that, and that's out there. But if you are, 45 years old, 55 years old, and you're crushing weights, you're crushing a CrossFit workout that's weights, and you're sitting there, you shouldn't hit that cold tub until later on. In a perfect world, there's always exceptions to that rule. For example, a competition that is not training, that is competing. You're doing it to keep inflammation down. There's no problem doing it if you have a concern, if you have an injury, if you have a strain, you're like, I need to bring things down right now, get in that water. Whereas if someone is 25 years old and they pound weights, they shouldn't jump right in there because their inflammation levels are so low at their beautiful, ripe, young ages that they have, that actually will bring their inflammation too low. That's the idea. So the age matters. So if you're younger, you may be better off doing it earlier before the workout. And if you're older, you can do whatever the heck you want because you're just riddled with inflammation, like us, especially me. So it's less of a concern. So you want to do the timing and make sure it makes sense. Also, I had a great conversation in Washington with that. He was a Greek marathoner, which was fun. I don't know if I've ever told this story on here. Great guy. He was so fascinating. He was actually a marathon, pro runner from Greece, which is sort of fun because that's where the marathon comes from. So it was really neat to talk to him. And he wanted to know about timing specific to his training. So what we came up with between the two of us was on long base run, zone 2 stuff, go in right afterwards. You're not building new muscle tissue. That's foundational work. Go ahead, you're fine. But on those crazy VO2 max, those VO2 max days where you're just crushed, and he's laughing while I'm explaining this. I think he was, you may not know this, Mary and I came from the endurance community, racing Ironman and Ironman coaches. So we do know a couple of things about it. And I think he was surprised when I broke down the type of workouts that I knew he was doing. And it was lots of fun. So on those crazy explosive days that are strength-based at VO2 max and you're just 100% heart rate, pegged to the max, those ones you're going to want to wait till later. He was young. I think he was 30 years old. I'm trying to remember. Handsome devil, all I remember is that. I don't remember how old he was, but he young guy. So amazing fitness levels, just really, really awesome. And that's where you want to make sure your timing is correct, and it's important. Now, are you going to do any damage if you are 36 years old, crushed a bunch of weights, and then you're like, I don't care, I'm going in there, I'm not going to worry about it. Are you going to do any damage?
No.
I don't think so. I think
No.
you're fine, and I think you're
Damage is such a negative word.
Yeah, it's way too big.
Yeah, right.
So I guess a more appropriate thing to say is, if you're on the young side and you hit the cold water right after a weight-based workout, you could negate some of the benefits
Gains
of that workout,
right.
the gains. So your bodybuilders are concerned with that because they're trying to grow muscle tissue. Your powerlifters are trying to grow strength. Your CrossFitters are trying to grow, well, they're not really super overly concerned with muscle tissue, although if you look at the top, professional athletes that are CrossFitters, they look pretty damn good.
I think they want to.
So yeah, they definitely are happy to look a certain way, and they are certainly impressive athletes. So that's the idea now. And if you have specific questions, please feel free to
Yes,
comment, send a
absolutely.
message in, comment on here, flag it, send it to the inbox, and say, hey, this is for Ben and Mary. I
Yeah.
want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Can we go ahead?
I was just gonna say one other thing to consider if you're starting your cold tub experience is to fight the urge to get out immediately.
Yeah.
Now,
Don't wanna lose.
if you're brand new, you've never done it before, and you don't have anybody with you to kind of coach you with it, and you get in and like after 10 seconds you're like, absolutely not. Get out, and then just try to gradually build up. But one of the benefits of cold tub immersion, cold water immersion, is grit and kind of building like that grit. And if you can fight that urge, that immediate urge, like the fight or flight, if you cannot flight and fight, there are so many additional benefits, physiological benefits, if you can get through that cold shock. So essentially what happens really quickly is when you get into cold water, your sympathetic system hits that fight or flight, and you are hyperventilating, your body is telling you to get out. However, if you can fight through that and get your breathing under control, after about 30 to 45 seconds, you are actually going to calm down. You're going to activate your vagus nerve. You want to try to get to that spot in the water. You're going to activate your vagus nerve, which actually has a calming effect. And
Incredibly so.
Your parasympathetic nervous system will become activated, which is that diver's response. It's going to slow your heart rate. You're actually going to calm down. And there are so many additional benefits if you're able to get to that spot. So if your initial instinct is to jump out, some podcasts we listened to said, try to fight and jump over that wall. Like, think about it as a hurdle that you're jumping. And maybe that's 10 seconds. Jump over that 10 seconds hurdle. Get to that 30 seconds. Jump over that 30-second hurdle, because eventually you're going to feel calm. It's not like a comfortable calm necessarily, but it is a calming effect. And there are a lot of benefits for that.
I would like to add to that doing the first time with a coach
Is huge.
Is absolutely huge. And someone who's not going to, you just do it, don't be a wimp. That's
Right.
not coaching. That's not coaching. That's not the way you should do this. People are having, all sorts of juicy wonderfulness happening there inside their body and their brain when they're in there. It needs to be accounted for and treated appropriately. So someone who's actually a good coach when it comes to cold tubbing, a hardcore, training coach may not be a great cold tubbing coach.
Right.
Keep that in mind, unless they really have a grasp on this. But I will say this: if your initial instinct is to bolt and jump ship, and you do jump ship, the mental fortitude and battle it takes to get back in there and try it again is incredibly, much more difficult. So
if you're able to have a more positive experience the first time you try it, as awful as it may seem to you, and I speak from experience here, but if you are able to have a positive experience with someone coaching you through it, it will make the next time that you try it just that much better.
And then then a week after that, you will be looking forward to it in a strange way, because it's always cold. first thing in the morning is always a challenge to get in there, but you will be looking forward to it because the benefits cannot be denied. You
Right.
feel so fantastic afterwards, from hitting the vagus nerve, for to having a reduction in inflammation and soreness,
Pain relief.
melting away.
Right.
I do always go cold in the morning before the gym, and I am 50. So to be clear, to go back to that, circle back, I'm 50. I'm not looking to grow new muscle tissue, but I really want to hang on to what I've got. So I do it beforehand just in case. Although I should be at an old enough age where it really doesn't matter what I do. And sometimes if I'm feeling a certain way, I will do it afterwards. And I'm not worried
Right.
about it, particularly in the summertime.
Great.
That's it.
All right, so those just some tips for some don'ts, if you are starting a cold tub journey or continuing a cold tub journey. We will be back soon. We've got some weird events coming up, some fun and weird events coming up. So we will keep everyone posted as to when our next Chili Goat Live will be, and we hope to see everybody there.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
See you in 2 weeks.